All right, today we are stepping right onto the front lines of a literal digital battlefield. In this explainer, we're going to break down the actual anatomy of cybercrimes, look at the precise classifications and types of threats out there, and totally unpack the security fundamentals designed to keep us safe. Whether you're managing a massive corporate network or, just trying to keep your own personal data locked down, this is a journey you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Get ready, because the way you view your connected devices is about to change forever.
It's so easy to just stare at our phones or laptops and see this faceless void. But who is actually out there actively targeting us? Well, it turns out there is a highly organized, constantly evolving ecosystem of adversaries probing for weaknesses at this very second. Understanding the taxonomy of these threats, like knowing exactly who is attacking and how they operate, is absolutely critical for modern digital survival. You literally can't defend against a threat you don't understand.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured roadmap for today's exploration. We'll start with Part 1, the Cybersecurity Shield. Then we'll move right into Part 2, Profiling the Attackers, followed by Part 3, Weapons Against the Machine. Next, we cover Part 4, Targeting the Human Element, and finally, Part 5, Hiding in the Shadows.
All right, Part 1, the Cybersecurity Shield. Let's quickly establish exactly what it is we are actually trying to protect here.
So it's actually pretty fascinating how formal this defense is. Cybersecurity isn't just, some piece of software you install and forget about. It's a comprehensive, ongoing process designed to protect networks and devices from external threats. Businesses pour massive resources into employing cybersecurity professionals for three very specific reasons: to protect confidential information, to maintain employee productivity by keeping systems online, and to enhance customer confidence in their products and services. If that shield drops, well, trust evaporates almost instantly.
To keep that trust locked down, the industry relies on a gold standard of digital protection known as the CIA Triad. Let's walk through this real quick. First, C is for confidentiality, meaning privacy. Data is accessed only by authorized parties, period. Next up, I for integrity. This ensures information can only be added, altered, or removed by authorized users. Nobody else can tamper with the data. And finally, A for availability. The systems, functions, and data must actually be available on demand whenever you need them. And how do we enforce this whole triad? Through the core element of authentication mechanisms. A username identifies the account you want, but the password? That's the specific mechanism that proves you actually are who you claim to be.
Moving right along to Part 2, Profiling the Attackers. Let's pivot and look at the actual adversaries we're up against.
Think of this as the classic call is coming from inside the house scenario versus the barbarians at the gate. An insider attack happens when someone with authorized system access, like, say, a dissatisfied employee or contractor, strikes from within. Their motives are usually revenge or greed. And man, it's incredibly dangerous because they already know the IT architecture, they know the security policies, and they know exactly where the sensitive data lives. It's wild that a massive vulnerability window opens just because an employee gets fired and their IT access isn't updated right away. On the flip side, we have the external attack. This is your hired gun or outside entity. Because they're on the outside looking in, they have to spend a lot of time scanning and gathering info, which means an experienced network admin can often trace them by carefully analyzing firewall logs and intrusion detection systems.
Now, there's also this totally fascinating maturity gap between different types of threats. We categorize attacks based on the skill level of the attacker. Unstructured attacks are generally performed by amateurs. They don't usually have some grand, predefined motive. They're literally just downloading ready-made tools from the internet and throwing them against a random company's network just to see what breaks. Contrast that with structured attacks. These are performed by highly skilled, experienced professionals. We're talking about rival countries, terrorists, or corporate spies. They have crystal-clear motives, access to incredibly sophisticated tools designed to slip right past intrusion detection systems, and the actual expertise to write their own custom code to get exactly what they want. All right, on to Part 3, Weapons Against the Machine. Let's really open up the attacker's toolkit here. First up is the denial of service, or DOS attack. The goal here is simple but totally devastating. Make an online service completely unavailable. Attackers overwhelm a site with massive amounts of traffic from a variety of sources, basically causing the whole network to crash. But here is the really critical part. They don't just do this to cause a headache. Hackers use the chaos of a down network as a smokescreen to slip into the system while the IT team is running around distracted, just trying to get their servers back online.
So how in the world do they generate all that traffic for a DOS attack? Well,
Botnets. Botnets are weaponized networks of innocent, compromised computers. An attacker secretly deposits malware onto thousands of everyday users' devices. Once infected, these computers are controlled externally by remote hackers without the owners ever having a clue. The hacker then commands this zombie army to send massive waves of spam, distribute more malware, or launch those crippling denial-of-service attacks we just talked about.
Then we have exploit kits. These require a bug or a vulnerability in a software's code to actually gain control of a user's computer. What is truly terrifying about exploit kits is how highly commercialized they are. They are ready-made tools that criminals can just go and buy online on dark web hacking forums. And get this, it's almost funny in a dark way. These kits are upgraded regularly by their creators, complete with actual customer support, just like the normal legitimate software you use every single day.
Now, on the slightly less threatening but absolutely infuriating end of the spectrum, we've got PUPs, potentially unwanted programs. They're still a type of malware, but their primary goal is just pure interference. They might uninstall necessary software on your system, like your pre-downloaded apps or search engines, and swap them out with spyware or adware. This is literally the perfect example of why installing and maintaining reliable antivirus software is absolutely non-negotiable. It catches these sneaky downloads before they can drive you crazy.
Okay, moving to part 4, targeting the human element. Because let's face it, sometimes the absolute easiest way in isn't hacking a firewall, it's tricking a human.
Let's walk through the shockingly simple steps of the social engineering playbook. Criminals will scour the internet to find out whatever they can about your digital footprint. First, they make direct contact with you, usually by phone or email. Next, they pose as a trusted figure, like a customer service agent, or maybe even someone from your own IT department, entirely to gain your confidence. And finally, once you trust them, they extract the keys to the kingdom, your passwords, sensitive company data, or your banking info. They might even try to friend you on social media just to build that initial trust. It's pure psychological manipulation.
And you know, that kind of social engineering, it often leads straight to identity theft. This happens when a criminal gets their hands on your personal info, and the stakes are just incredibly high. They aren't just looking to drain your bank account. They use your identity to access confidential health records, commit tax fraud, claim government benefits in your name, or even plan criminal activities while pretending to be you. They pull this off by hacking passwords, scraping personal details you left public on social media, or through super deceptive messaging.
Speaking of deceptive messaging, one of the most common delivery methods is phishing. Hackers send out malicious email attachments or URLs, and I gotta warn you, phishing is getting incredibly sophisticated. These are not the glaringly obvious, totally misspelled spam emails we saw a decade ago. Actually, scratch that, they're way beyond that now. Cybercriminals craft emails that bypass spam filters entirely, tricking users by creating a massive sense of false urgency, like claiming your account is locked and you desperately need to update your billing info right this second. Once you click and log in, boom, they have your credentials.
And man, the human targeting absolutely does not stop there. The sheer variety of psychological and financial traps is just staggering. There's cyberstalking, where attackers use social media and search engines to subject a victim, often someone they actually know, to a barrage of messages to intimidate and instill fear. There's the distribution of prohibited or illegal content, which includes highly distressing or violent materials shared on the everyday internet and the dark web. And finally, online scams. Those super enticing, too good to be true ads promising massive rewards that the absolute second you click them instantly compromise your entire system with malware.
All right, on to our final section, Part 5, Hiding in the Shadows. Let's see how they actually manage to get away with all of this.
Okay, the crucial secret to how they pull this off and disappear is proxies. Attackers do not operate from their home Wi-Fi networks in plain sight. No way. A proxy basically acts as a middleman, completely hiding the attacker's real IP address and their true physical location. By bouncing their connection through one or even multiple proxies across international borders, attackers can conduct fraudulent transactions and launch devastating attacks with virtually zero risk. Law enforcement can visit a physical location tied to an IP address, sure, but if that IP is just a proxy server sitting in another country, the trail goes totally cold.
But listen to this, because it gets even darker. Sometimes the proxy they use is actually you. Attackers will deploy specific malware, like banking trojans, that literally alter your computer's host file or browser configuration. This lets the attacker redirect requests and capture your confidential info. But the really shocking detail is this: they will route their malicious requests through the victim's own browser, Why? Because conducting fraud that looks like it's originating from a legitimate user's IP address looks way less suspicious to bank security systems. They are quite literally committing crimes while wearing your digital face.
Which really brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is your data truly secure? We've seen today that this digital battlefield is insanely complex. Whether you find yourself facing a disgruntled, recently fired insider who somehow still has network access, or an anonymous external attacker wielding a ready-made dark web exploit kit, the threats are constant. But remember our cybersecurity shield. Understanding the taxonomy of these attacks, recognizing the sneaky signs of social engineering, and maintaining that CIA triad of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, that is your absolute greatest defense. The criminals are constantly adapting, but hey, so can we. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay safe out there in the digital shadows.